Good afternoon. Welcome from Gardner's, Pennsylvania. We're at Pine Grove State Park. I had posted a video like a year or two ago about a pole steeple here in Laurel Lake, which is one of my favorite hikes. We're here today to go to Camp Michaux, which I've always wanted to see. It's basically the ruins of an old POW interrogation camp during World War II, which is kind of crazy that right in our county that there is a former POW camp. Now it's in ruins. I think it was first a Civil Conservation Corp camp during the Great Depression. Then it was a POW interrogation camp where I think over 7,000 Germans were in prisons and maybe like 100 Japanese. Then it became a church camp, and I believe it's in ruins now. Now, you can do, the Cumberland County Historical Society hosts tours here, and that's what we're going to do. We decided to do a tour. It cost $18 for adults, $6 for kids. That way, we can learn more about the site. There also, the Cumberland County Historical Society has self-guided tours on there. So you can, go on there, download the self-guided tour before. I suggest there's not like internet in this area, and then kind of do a self-guided walking tour. So we're meeting here at the Pine Grove Furnace near Fuller Lake, and we're going to do the guided tour, so I'll bring you along. Welcome to the Adams Family Travelers. Join us as we use our vacation days to travel around as much as we can and enjoy exploring the world. Make sure you join us on our adventures, especially our adventures traveling through our home state of Pennsylvania. great. We're back at the furnace area. So actually there is a parking lot for this area. We had to walk from Fuller Lake parking lot through a little bit on the Appalachian Trail to get over here. We just got to the wrong lot. But so this was used for iron working, and then they chose this area for the Civilian Conservation Corp, the CCC, based on the fact that this was a destroyed area. They had cut down trees. They'd used it for iron making for years. And so that was called the Pine Grove Civil Conservation Camp. And then the Civil Conservation Camps ended in 1941 when the U.S. was attacked by Japan. The war started and the Civil Conservation area camp stopped. The camp was actually occupied till about February 1942. And then it became a POW camp and a POW interrogation camp. So what happened is there were 2 interrogation camps on the East Coast. There were, I think they said like almost 400 POW camps spread throughout the country. There was a interrogation camp on the West Coast as well. And basically for the interrogation camps, they would be brought here. They'd be split up into 8 different groups. So there'd be basically first they would split them up by country. So there were some Italians, mostly Germans, and then later in the war Japanese, and they kept them all separate. Then they would split them up whether they were an enlisted person or an officer. And then they would see whether they were a Nazi supporter or not. Basically a Nazi sympathizer, if they were just in doing their duty to their country. And basically then they would be sent to different POW camps across the country based on those criteria. And they weren't here very long. Obviously the Nazi supporting officers would be sent for much further interrogation, and even sometimes the enlisted men, because the first people brought over were submariners, and they wanted to know how the German submarines worked. So they, even the low-level submarine submariners were sent for further interrogation so we can learn how the submarines worked. So depending on who they were in the Army and what their job was. And then, so the interrogation camp was there from May 1943 to the end of the war, like 1945. And essentially then it became a church camp till 1972. At that point, a lot of the buildings were from the CCC were in disrepair. The church abandoned their lease. They didn't want to maintain them, and the state didn't want to maintain them. So a lot of the buildings and everything there were auctioned off. People could dismantle the buildings and take them. So today, that's why all you see is foundation. And I'm going to link the self-guided tour from the Cumberland County Historical Society. They have a great self-guided tour, and we had a book with us as well for pictures. I do like the actual tour. David Smith was our tour guide. He was he's retired now, but he was a librarian for the Cumberland County Historical Society, and he still volunteers there, and he basically ran this project to redo and reclaim Camp Michaux. And essentially, and Camp Michaux was the name given by the church camp, and that's what we call it now, because it is in Michaux State Forest. And essentially, they put up signs and markers for the self-guided tour and made the self-guided tour. They had to go through tons of documents. They still don't know a lot about the POW camp that was there because it was a secret interrogation camp. And so David went through, we saw 20 of the 30 stops. It took 2 hours. It was fantastic. The kids thought it was really interested too. So if you, I would say older kids, if you're really interested in history, it's great. Essentially, went through about the camp. We get to see the swimming pool area, and I'll mark some of the footage of what it is and link to the self-guided tour. Now you can do it by yourself, but I think you get much more information. It's more interesting actually hearing it from Mr. Smith instead of hearing it from or reading it from the guidebook. But really interesting. There's just really foundations left, but you got to see where the things were, and what the CCC built, what the POW camp built, and what the church camp built. And so it's really interesting. So here behind me is the Pine Grove furnace where they did the iron working, and why this area was chosen by the CCC. And then There's also the Appalachian Trail comes through here, so you can go to stop at Camp Michaux as a spur off the Appalachian Trail. It would be a great little stopover. There's also an Appalachian Trail general store here, or Pine Grove General Store, and there is also an Appalachian Trail museum. So check all those things out. Check out Camp Michaux. Do the tour with the Cumberland County Historical Society. It was really cool and really interesting to learn all that, and it was a nice little hike too on a beautiful day. So thank you for watching, and I definitely recommend coming to check this out. It's a part of history that like I didn't even really know was here until like a couple years ago. So just something that's, you know, unique in our little area. So we stopped at Twirly Top, which is an ice cream place down the road from the Pine Grove Forest. The kids got ice cream. They also have burgers and stuff there. So you can stop there after you do your Camp Michaux tour. Thanks for watching.